Good morning. Hand today is going to be pocket fours. We're four-handed, button raises. Button has an attempt to steal of 36%, 4 out of 11. If we look at this a little bit more, you can see that button raise first ins, 50%, 3 out of 6. I have 70 hands on him. I think he's probably going to be pretty wide. Just take advantage of the fact that he's on the button. Maybe it's not as wide as 50%, but I think it's going to be pretty wide. So I think even if we go with 50%, it's going to be wider than what he could have. And we could still kind of narrow down his range as the hand progresses. So I think we're going to go with this range. Folds to me in the big blind. I just call big blind versus button range. We are going to be 3-betting a little bit more versus the button. You can see that's our 3-betting range. You can see we're 3-betting, high cards and then kind of a handful of bluffs. Ace 4, Ace 5 suited, 7 6. We can actually 3-bet even wider. So these are the 3-bet or call range. I chose a call. I think pocket fours is kind of at the bottom end of my pocket pair range. I've been at the table for about 20 some hands, 23 hands. I'm not confident that this is villain's range, so I'm just gonna go with a range like this. Just call, see what happens, see what kind of flop we get. So I'm gonna move forward with that range. Flop comes out 8-3-3, and that's actually not terrible for our range. We figure to hit it. We've got middle cards. We're not really gonna hit it hard. We could. I mean, we've got 3s, we've got 8s, but so does villain. Villain, though, has like aces, kings, queens, and jacks. I don't think we really have that unless we try to slow play and just call with aces or kings in this spot. And I don't think we usually do. I think with those hands, we're just going to attack, especially at this limit. This is a 2NL game, so I think it pays to be aggressive. Do I lead here? No. Villain has the initiative. I kind of expect him to be c-betting a lot, so when he c-bets, we kind of have to think about, are we going to be calling here, check calling? Are we going to check raise? Are we going to check fold? I don't think we're going to be really check folding. I'm not even sure if we're going to check fold most of the time here. So I think with fours, this could actually be a pretty good spot to check raise. Now, the question is, if we had a 3, would we check raise with that 3? Would that seem logical to check raise with a 3? Or does it seem logical, given this board, just to kind of check call and go for a raise on the turn? I think a lot of players would go for the raise on the turn. So if we check raise, I think it's less likely that we would have a 3. Or at least the players would think we have a 3. And I think that's one of the reasons why we should probably go ahead and check raise here with, if we have a 3. We want to have that, make sure we have that 3 so we can protect some of our other ranges, other hands like 4s or 5s or 6 that could check raise here for protection. If we had it. But I think, I think given the makeup, it's going to be hard for us to have a whole lot of bluffs. I mean, it would just be a flat out bluff. There's no really flush draw. We've got backdoor flush draws. We could maybe do gut shot, but, it's a backdoor gut shot. If we had 6-7, we need a 5 and a 4 or, 2 other cards that come. So, yeah, we want to have a 3 in our check raising range, but I don't think we have a whole lot of bluffs. Any other hands in our, believable hands that are on draws or, semi-bluff type hands that would complement having that 3. So I think because of that, I don't think we're really going for a check raise. I don't think we can go for a check raise. So what happens? We did check. Villain bets. He bets 4, which is kind of a large bet size for this board. He could have bet 3. 3 1/4. is half pot. He chose to bet 4. So what do we think he has? I think he's probably, ace high hands, I think, could be betting this. Does he have all these no-made hands? Maybe. Maybe he recognizes that it could be that this board's going to miss a whole lot of people, so he just fires 100%. I think that's probably what I would do. What is his c-bet stats? I mean, his c-bet stats are pretty high. In positions, 2 out of 3, out of positions, 4 out of 4. Yeah, I think this is probably a board where we're going to see about 100% c-bet here, which works for us, and that's kind of one of the reasons why check raise, could be so strong. However, given this hand, when we look at what I have, notice, I've got overcards and I've got 2 card backdoor flush draw. Could be a bluff. So, if we have 3 of a kind, so that's 6 combos. Could we have 12 combos of a pure bluff? Yeah, we could pick and choose, but which ones do we do? So I think this hand probably check call even with 4s and see what develops on the turn. See what happens. I think this could be a hand where if we pick up a 4, maybe even if we turn a 3, we go ahead and lead maybe and get a call, kind of bet turn, bet river. I think if we bet the turn, we get like ace X hands probably to call. I think they're going to be forced to call, and then I think they would only call the turn if they connect with a pair at that point. This is just not. I check called here. I'm just not really loving this because the make up the board, and at the same time, I don't really like a check raise here because what other hands have a check raise? Maybe the ace high hands we could throw in there, but I think we're going to be like really unbalanced because we don't have 2 pair. Like we don't have 8-3 in our range here. So I think we're going to be calling. I don't think ace high hands are calling. I think pocket pairs, any pairs are going to be calling. And probably these 2 card backdoor flush draws, are 2 cards that have backdoor potential. Maybe we can improve and pick up a solid pot. 7 of spades hits. So now, when you think about hands that I have, I could easily have a 8-7, so could villain. 6-5. I think a 6-5 is a possibility. Give us an open ender. Same thing with 9-10. Villain could have all of those as well. So I think I think villain has the range advantage on this board right now. 3s are still in our range. You could have ace-3. Definite possibility. Could we lead here? Well, that's what that's what I'm contemplating. Do we have a possibility of leading? Yeah, we have a possibility. What kind of story would that tell? I think if we lead here, it probably tells a story of like a 1 pair type hand that we're betting, try to get money in, maybe to see a flop. Kind of depends on how large. So if we bet, half pot, almost looks like we're trying to set our own price. So maybe we have either a pair or, open ender. I don't think gut shots fall under this. If I was villain 2 and I saw this board and the blind leads into me here on the turn, I would seriously consider raising several hands. Definitely raise, probably spade I would raise. I think I would be aggressive with that. I think I would raise all my overpairs, 8s, probably a 7 if I have it. Probably raise gut shots. I think I would be aggressive here. Especially we've got some solid stacks. If I raise and he folds, that's great. I just pick up a pot. I'm repping with my raise a hand that is probably better than 7x or maybe even 8x. And then on the river, if a non-spade comes, or any, if a card that does not complete the straight or the spade comes, I think I could bet and might be able to pick it up. If he shows a 3, then probably make a note that, hey, he's capable of donking with trips. For me, I don't really think we can have a lead range here. Yeah, we've got full house 3 of a kind. We could have our flush draw. I think it probably plays better as a check. Probably a check call. Might be able to check raise this now. So we check, which I think is fine, and villain 2. Villain 2 checks behind. So with the check raise, I think we could do full house here. And then our nut flush draw. Yeah, ace6, ace2, maybe even the kings. Nut flush with open ender. I think now we could realistically have a value and a semi bluff range if we check raise here. And I think that's better to check raise on the turn than on the flop. So in this case, villain checked. So I think that really eliminates a big part of his range. I think we're going to go middle pair, pocket pair, weak pair, no made hand. We are going to take out flush draws and the open enders. I kind of assume that he would be betting those. We'll leave in the gut shots. So I think at that point you could see he's got a lot of no made hands here. A lot of no made hands. Some middle pair, some small pocket pair, but I don't think he has 8s or anything. So, and we still have 100% of our range. Jack of diamonds hits. And now I think here we need to think about getting some value. So I think I would bet here for full house, 3 of a kind, good 2 pair, so having a jack, probably top pair here, you know, jack 9. I would bet here. What about like 8-7? I think I'm probably check calling. So let's say jack 9. Jack 9 bets for value, but then these hands kind of check call. I think 4s kind of fall into our check call range. Maybe even a check fold depending on the bet. So we check. Let's get those. Okay, so I'm looking at those hands. And then villain 2 checks. And the reason I'd say lead with those hands, because I think he could call with top pair. Then I think he can also call with like the weak pair. And possibly even, well, yeah, good 2 pair, top pair. Possibly even like an ace high hand. So maybe hands like that might call just a bluff catch. Just say that, you know, he doesn't believe that I have anything, you know, the draw is missed. You know, 9-10. 9-10's a straight possibility. And I think that is one where, you know, if I was in the shoes and the blind bet on the turn and I raised, I think this is a card where it's an overcard. It does complete the straights if you have a 9-10. Villain would have had to call the flop bet with a 9-10. I think that's kind of a little less likely. I think unders are probably a little bit better. I think the jack is just one of those cards that's not the greatest. So I think I would probably bet the river as kind of like a scare card. And, you know, kind of hope he folds unless I have, you know, 2 pair. If he raises me, I think we're just done with the hand. I think at that point we can say we're behind to at least 3 of a kind. But we checked, so when villain checks behind, I don't think he's looking at a 2 pair. Probably doesn't even have jacks. maybe a weak pair, maybe these ace high hands, and nothing. So with my fours, I think I'm probably thinking I'm good here. If I'm not, I'm up against maybe like fives or sixes. Um, two, yeah, fives or sixes. And I say that because I do think 7 would have continued betting here. So we see showdown and he shows ace queen, and that is in his range. You know, one of these ace queen, ace high hands. I think it worked that we had a pair and he didn't. I don't think any of our check raises would have been good. I think if we were in a different position, so if we flopped, switched roles, and I was in position with fours, I do think we have a possibility of raising a c-bet at that point. Raising c-bet for protection. If he calls, we can still fire a bet when that 7 comes. And I think ace queen would have a hard time calling. If he calls, so be it. He's drawing to 6 outs. We make more money when players make bad calls. Bad calls in hands like this. All right, so should I have raised pre-flop? This is a possibility. He's not folding ace queen, but I think overall the hand was probably played okay. I don't think I missed any sort of raising here. Maybe missed. I think maybe missed a river bet. River lead, but as we kind of break down like what hands are we leading, the weak pair kind of falls into our check call ranging here. Just kind of turn it into a little bit of value, a little bit of bluff catch, kind of protecting if he leads with ace queen. I mean, that's we would call, as long as it's not too big. So like if he bets pot or larger, I think we're probably just going to fold it. All right, hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, look tomorrow for another.